Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in Jew. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Of course I'm doing a DCU extra. Last night's news that Andy Machete and Christina Hodson will be working on the Flash movie together with Ezra Miller still playing the titular character. I'm so pumped. I'm going to be doing loads of videos about this. And isn't it refreshing to be able to do positive videos about the DCEU? First of all, I want to give great credit to our leader, Walter Hamada, who stems from New Line Cinema, a company who make real films. He had a very, very massive problem, very problematic, because, and I hate this term, but the Flash movie has been in development hell for years now. And I hate the way some kind of pundits are so smug about that, because I care about DC. I love the characters. I love the DC world of movies. I love the DCEU. And I want these films rolling out with no problems. But Walter Hamada came in to take over a very difficult gig after Justice League. And, you know, when you see what happened with Aquaman and Shazam, he's done a great job so far. The reactions to Wonder Woman 84, really positive. The reactions to Birds of Prey, very positive. And of course, Christina Hodson wrote that movie as well, and people are loving it who have been to the test screening. So what he's done with this situation, he's gone, look, we cannot lose Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is Mr. WB. The company don't want to lose him. He's the bright young thing of the studio. He was never going anywhere. He couldn't work with these game night writer directors, not because they're bad people, because I think initially when Jeff Johns was running things, he brought them in because they wanted this optimistic, marvelized movie. And Ezra Miller is a very opinionated young man, especially about what kind of projects he's on. I think there's been a similar issue with him and J.K. Rowling with the Fantastic Beasts movies. So he came out a few months before and said, listen, it's like the Flash. He may be a bit slow, but he'll get there in the end. And he said he wants to make the most amazing love letter to the fans. And he means it because he's a fan. So he stood out there and risked his career to give us, the fans, an awesome movie. And that's absolutely fantastic. So being a leader, Walter Hamada said, all right, Ezra, don't worry. He went off and did his script. They knew they were going to reject his script. But after they rejected his script, they said, listen, Ezra, we understand your issues. We are going to take control of this situation. We will move them on. We will get people from New Line Cinema to do a real job of this movie. So in the It and It Chapter 2 director and Christina Hodson, you've got two people who know how to tell a great story. Ezra Miller's very happy. He had a very long, drawn-out chat with them. And people saying, oh, maybe this won't happen either. It's going to happen. Walter Hamada will make sure it's going to happen. You know, the other movies he's been involved with so far have happened. You know, Aquaman could have been an absolute calamity, but that man saved it. With his experience of working with James Wan, he was able to have a compromised relationship with him where they could, where Walter Hamada would say, listen, this is what we want. And then, James would say, well, fair enough, but you've got to let me make the movie I want. And because they worked with each other before, that really worked. The same with Shazam. And David F. Sandberg was able because, and this is what's great, I mean, people are kind of making fun that Walter Hamada is going to run out of New Line Cinema creatives, but that studio is really a kind of factory for great creatives. So I found another article about the Flash situation from the Hollywood Reporter again, and it's a very interesting article by Richard Newby, The Flash, Why Horror Directors and Superheroes Mesh Well. And I think that's absolutely spot on. It filmmaker Andy Machete joins James Wan, David Sandberg, and more who are jump engineers. Development for The Flash has long been stuck in slow motion, but the Scarlet Speedster is once again at the starting block, and this seems ready to catch up to his fellow Justice Leaguers. Courtesy of a new director and screenwriter, today the Hollywood Reporter broke the news that It Helmer Andy Machete will direct The Flash. Taking over for John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, Christina Hodgson, Bumblebee Birds of Prey will write the new script, using neither Daly or Goldstein's drafts, nor the script Grant Morrison co-wrote with Ezra Miller. Muschietti is now the fourth director to join the DC film from Warner Bros. And New Line's successful stable of filmmakers like Aquaman's James Wan and Shazam's David Sandberg and Black Adam's Jaume Collet-Serra, Muschietti has the unique opportunity to inject the skills acquired within the horror genre into the world of superheroes. The Flash has had more than its share of development woes, with the more recent ones nearly costing the film its lead Miller, who is said to have wanted a more serious film than what was being drafted. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Seth Grahame-Smith and Rick from Wire were all attached to direct at one point or another, and Sam Raimi, Robert Zemeckis and Matthew Vaughn were all on the shortlist of potential directors before Daly and Goldstein came aboard in February 2018. But with Muschietti and Hodgson, Warner Bros. May have just managed to bottle lightning and learn from their recent hits that there's safety to be found in some of the most daring choices. And this is spot on. Muschietti, who broke out in 2013 with Mama based on his short film of the same name, is no stranger to boarding projects long caught in development hell. He luckily jumped off the train wreck that was The Mummy 2017 during the film's infamous scripting process and found a home in the world of Stephen King's Muschietti in Stephen King. Muschietti, who came on board It Chapter 1 2017 and the upcoming It Chapter 2 after Kerry Fukunaga left the project, quickly cemented himself as a filmmaker with a vision, capable of not only delivering memorable and stylish set pieces, but in clearly defining the rules of a story based on a novel. That's rules infrequently lend themselves to a cinematic experience. He's a filmmaker who seems cut from the same cloth as Mama producer Guillermo del Toro. The Flash doesn't seem like an entirely different entity from it. Like the adaptation of Stephen King's work, The Flash comes with plenty of mythology already attached to it, including ubiquitous cosmic forces and pre-existing awareness of a popular television adaptation. No doubt, The Flash will be a challenge in terms of figuring out the science fantasy mechanics and separating itself from the CW series, but Muschietti seems like a filmmaker up to the challenge, and of course a strong screenwriter will be key to that. Like Muschietti, screenwriter Christina Hodgson has her roots in the horror thriller genre. Her first credit, Shut It 2016, may not have turned heads, but her more recent work on the Transformers reboot, Bumblebee 2018, certainly did. With that film, Hodgson stripped away the rusted parts of Michael Bay's oversized engine and brought heart back to the Transformers franchise, with likeable characters, a focused narrative, and a tone that balanced humour and genuine emotional drama. She's hoping to continue her winning streak with Warner Bros. And DC's Birds of Prey. Due out in February, from Bumblebee alone, it's easy to imagine Hodgson creating dialogue that allows Ezra Miller to really tap into the character and explore the complexities of Barry Allen. There's a long history of horror thriller filmmakers delivering memorable superhero films that we just can't stop talking about. Richard Donner. Yeah, of course, Richard Donner did the, what was it, The First Omen, wasn't it? Wow, I mean, I forgot about that. Tim Burton, Sam Raimi, Guillermo del Toro, Zack Snyder and Patty Jenkins all have their origins in grim and grisly. There seems to be a certain appreciation for imagery of horror that lends itself well to comic book movies, perhaps because so much of our modern horror and superhero films have their origins in 20th century pulp magazine. The two mediums are inextricably tied to each other. Each of those filmmakers and more recent examples of James Wan and David Sandberg, who have delivered films that don't shy away from embracing comic book imagery regardless of how wild and stylistic it may be. If audiences can buy armoured soldiers riding giant laser-equipped sea creatures or a talking inch worm with designs and world domination, then The Flash needn't hold anything back. As one of the comic books that has consistently been one of DC's most visually engaging books, and populated with bright costumes, creatures, and concepts that don't lend themselves to staying grounded, The Flash feels like a perfect fit for a director who successfully brought a cosmic evil in the form of a clown to life, and a screenwriter who made robots that transformed into cars as plausible as they've ever been. Whether The Flash introduces us to the Rogue's Gorilla Grodd or the multiverse, it feels like the property will be in safe hands. that aren't afraid to shatter expectations thanks to a recent crop of horror directors. The DC film universe no longer feels like it's running scared. Wow, wow, wow. That is a fucking brilliant article. And it's so spot on. What Walter Hamada is doing is intelligent. He is using the stable of creatives from New Line Cinema. It works because they know how to make films. These are not people who are going to be told, right, I want this under 2 hours, I want this to make $1 billion, go do it. Kevin Sugihara was a lunatic. That's what he was telling them. Under 2 hours, Marvelize it, end of. Don't care about content, don't care about quality. That's what went wrong with Justice League. You know, an intelligent person would have thought to themselves, let Snyder do his movie, release it, then we can move it on, then we can bring in whoever we want. I still wouldn't have agreed Marvelizing the DCEU, but at least that made more sense than what Sugihara did. But, you know, Walter Hamada is a very intelligent, creative leader, and he's building a great team, a great factory of creatives for the DCEU, and it's spot on about horror directors and writers. You know, they know how to adapt stuff, and adapting one thing is the same as the other. You just have to, now and again, lighten it up now and again, but it can still be dark. It can still be compelling. Look, this news came from a bolt out of the blue, but this is really the first kind of major DC character Walter Hamada's taken control of really and said, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get these people in, they're going to make the film, and it's going to be great. And Ezra, you know, you're not just an actor, you mean more to us than that. You've got thoughts and ideas about this in this character. Nobody in the studio knows more about The Flash than you do, my friend. So, you know, yeah, consult with us as well as performing the role. So, as I say, I'm so pumped, so excited that this is moving forward, and this will move forward really quickly now. So it's awesome. Now, I found another article about the Snyder Cut, which we're going to read because it's quite interesting. Warner Brothers, stop hiding. You are going to have to release the Snyder Cut. Now, I don't believe Anna Sarnoff is going to change that narrative of what's going on right now, because Anna has just been mainly brought in to deal with Warner Media's ambitious plans for the Warner Media streaming service. She has a great experience in streaming, great success, and obviously the focus is to get a sledgehammer and crush Netflix and Disney Plus, and there's no better person than Anna Sarnoff to do that. I don't think she'll be very much involved within the DCEU or what happens with the Snyder Cut, but that board can still be convinced to release it. So this is an interesting article from, is it Heroic Hollywood? Yeah, Heroic Hollywood. Superman comic writer wants to see the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Superman comic book writer Jerry Ordway expressed his desire to see Warner Brothers release the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Late last month, a creative fan released a video imagining what the opening credits to Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League would have looked like. Yes, John Aaron Garza, say his name, give him a plug, come on. Would have looked like, with a similar style to those of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. The video prompted Jerry Ordway, who wrote Superman titles from 86 to 93 and inked the game-changing Crisis on Infinite Earths, to express his desire to see Warner Brothers release the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League on Blu-ray. In a post on his official Twitter account, I'm going to have to follow this guy and check this out, Jerry Ordway questions whether or not Warner Brothers had anything to lose by releasing the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League to the public. The revered comic book artist and writer also likened the situation to the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. It is and it isn't, because Warner Brothers weren't making the decisions that caused Richard Donner to leave, you see. This is what Jerry had to say on his Twitter. That's powerful. I sure would like to see a Blu-ray of this cut of the film. What does WB Home Entertainment got to lose? I certainly appreciate the recreation of Richard Donner's Superman 2, so why not Zack Snyder's Justice League? Well said, Jerry, well said. For those who are unaware, Superman and its sequel were not simultaneously with Richard Donner. As the director of both projects, however, with 75% of Superman 2 already complete, producers opted to cease filming the sequel in order to focus on the first film. Richard Donner was later removed from Superman 2 and replaced by Richard Lester, who significantly retooled the film and reshot most material in order to be credited as director. In 2006, Richard Donner cast Superman 2 was released using lost footage originally shot by Donner, deleted scenes and screen test material. And that is it. So, wow. I mean, Jerry is a prominent comic book guy. And for people like that to publicly be coming out and saying, what have you got to lose, Warner Brothers? Just release the thing. You know, what have you got to lose? Release it. You know, I should do a question and answer video. So I definitely think you should get your questions in and I'll give you some answers if I can on the Snyder Cut, on the DCEU, or basically, right, ask me any questions on TV or movies or anything you've ever seen me talk about, and I'll answer them as truthfully and honestly as I can. So I hope you enjoyed the video. As I say, I'm very pumped with what's going on with The Flash, and it looks like Walter Hamada has got a wonderful handle in the future of the DCEU. Now, all I'm waiting for is to find out what the hell is going on with Superman. We know Cavill's done, but who's next? Who are they going to cast? Maybe you can ask me that in the question and answer video. So I want all your questions down below. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll give them a read. Laters.